Hey everyone, Eli Magids coming to you from Charlotte. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about earnest money. Earnest money is a term that is used in the contract or offer to purchase a home here in North Carolina. And what that money is, it's different than a due diligence fee. Due diligence fee I had talked about previously. It allows you to look at a house for a certain amount of time, and if you cancel it prior to the end of due diligence, you can get out of the contract. Earnest money is an additional deposit that is made. It's held by an escrow agent, either by the listing agent or the buying agent. And that money is a good faith deposit made by the buyer that goes to the seller's escrow agent. And the purpose of that money is, one, it shows that the buyer is very, very interested in your home, and it's saying, okay, everything goes well in the due diligence period, we're going through with this house. And the other thing that it serves as is damages for a seller. Now let me explain this. If a buyer comes in, writes a contract, and they give you due diligence fee and an earnest money deposit, due diligence fee allows them to look at your house. If they don't pull out of the contract prior to the end of the due diligence, then that earnest money becomes the amount of money that the seller will get if the buyer decides to terminate the contract. Now the buyer would have to break the contract, walk away from the contract, and would lose their earnest money to the seller. The seller would get that money. The point about the earnest money is that that is the only money that a seller can go after the buyer for. So in other words, the seller can't really sue a buyer for pulling out of that contract or breaking the contract other than taking the earnest money. So essentially, the earnest money is the money that a seller gets if a buyer decides to break a contract. But it is also a good faith deposit on the buyer's part, saying, hey, look, I really like your house, and let's move forward with this extravaganza, this purchase. Okay, I hope that explains it a little bit. So there are two fees typically, a due diligence fee and a earnest money deposit. Both of them are negotiable, so it goes back and forth. But just remember that sellers, that's the only thing that you can go after a buyer for if they breach a contract. It's not really that fair, considering, let's say, you're supposed to close on Tuesday, and on Monday the buyer decides to pull out. You've moved all your stuff. You've moved to Chicago or to Los Angeles or whatever. Really not a fair deal, in my view, anyway, because you've incurred expenses and costs and headache and so on and so forth. But here in North Carolina, that's the only thing you can get is the earnest money. I am Eli Magids. Any questions, comments, complaints, anything you want to talk about, you can reach me at eli@elimagids.com. Please visit my website, www.elimagids.com. There are other videos there, information, you can search for homes, things like that, contact information. And that's all for now. I am Eli Magids, and I am keeping it real. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys soon.